And spell it for me, please.
Yeah, I'm Matt Raven. R-A-V as in Victor, E-N, just like the bird.
Okay, and what is your title?
I'm a professor in the Department of Community Sustainability.
Explain a little bit about what you're going to have going on in the UP.
Okay, my background is agricultural, food, and natural resource education. And so when we relooked at the station and renamed the station, we added an extension to it for a very purposeful reason. We want to really leverage that location to expand the educational and extension efforts in the UP and really make that kind of a central location for looking at ag, food, natural resource systems and extending education out to everyone from kindergartners to adults.
Okay. What will you have going on specifically? What are you going to be doing?
Okay, well, what we're looking at is taking the original station at the North Farm and making that an educational center revolving around local food systems. And so we want to go in there and install intensive agricultural systems that focuses on local food, primarily in vegetable production, using hoop houses as well as other parts of the station.
Why is this important to do?
I think it's really important that we look at making areas like the UP more resilient in terms of their food security. As we look at forces in the world right now in terms of increasing energy, increasing climate changes, I think it's important that we look at how you can take local communities and make them more secure in their food.
Once you get a hoop house going, what kinds of things do you think are going to be in there?
Well, I think it's just more than the hoop house. I mean, the hoop house is one part of the system, but we're looking at how do we integrate with the other things we're doing, working at the station. We're also looking at integrated cropping and livestock systems. So how do we integrate local food production in with those types as well. And I think one of the things that we're looking at across the whole up there is soil health. And that's probably one of the fundamental things that we're focusing on at the station. Any form of agriculture, what can we do to not only sustain soil health, but actually improve soil health?
Okay. So you're really integrating with like the beef cattle that are up there and the other things that they have going on.
Right, and then we actually wanted, as time goes along, increase our enterprises and actually start stacking enterprises on top of each other. So we envision not only having, beef up there, but eventually we would like to have hogs up there, poultry, other small ruminants like sheep or goats, that are also involved in the cropping systems and the vegetable production that we be doing at the North Farm.
Now, the climate up there is a wee bit different than down here, so what kind of a challenge will that present?
Well, that's one of the advantages of working at that station is the latitude being in such a northern climate. And so we want to look at some of the things that we've found out down here and try to replicate them up there and try to see what we can do for other parts of the world that are at those extreme latitudes, both in terms of crop production as well as livestock production, but more importantly, how that we can integrate those two together, into resilient ag systems, ag food systems.
So what you end up accomplishing, what you get to work up there, is not just necessarily for the folks in the UP, but other places that would have that same similar climate can benefit from the research that's going on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, our first focus is the UP, but that latitude goes around the entire globe. And so we think that what we can find up there, has implications for on a global scale.
How important is it to have a research facility like the one that's there, right in the center of where you're wanting to, where you do the research, where people can actually benefit from it?
Well, I mean, I think we're super fortunate to have that type of resource up there. It's a beautiful facility. It's been there, for over 100 years. And so I think it's exciting to be able to take that original North Farm and repurpose it, and look at food systems and involve the local community. And so what we want to do is start looking all the way through, from soil health or healthy soils, to healthy food, to healthy people, to healthy communities. and and really try to link them all together.
Talk a little bit about the extension angle from, you were talking about education, correct?
Right.
When we were just talking out there. Talk a little bit about the education component and how this can work.
Well, I mean, what we want to do is really integrate the research with education and extension and really combine the two together. And so what we want to do is create an educational center at the North Farm that's both focused on formal education as well as non-formal education. Non-formal education being the form of extension. One of the things that we want to start with is an incubator farm, where we could have either novice or apprentice farmers, have an opportunity to actually farm with technical support before they risk a lot of capital on their own operation. And also, the ability to connect to, K through 12 schools in the UP and provide them a laboratory that they can do place-based education. Also, we want to develop programs that we can leverage down here, for undergraduates through the Ag Tech Institute program as well as graduate program. So I think there's a multitude of opportunities from education and extension, both in credit base as well as non-credit base.
What do you hope to personally accomplish? I mean, what do you hope to get out of all this? What floats your boat when working on a project like this?
Well, one of the things I'm really interested in is how we get technologies and innovations adopted, and what are the tensions that exist between the way we currently do things and the way we might do things in the future, and what prevents ways that we think are better getting adopted by citizens. And so that's one of the things that we want to look at up there at the UP is how do we get these systems actually diffused out into society and adopted by producers as well as citizens.
Anything else you'd like to add that I didn't ask?
Let me think for a second. I think that what we're trying to do up there is really make that a unique experiment station or make that a unique ag bio research station with an emphasis on soil health, but looking at it from a systems perspective. And too many times we look at things in compartments or in silos, and what we're really trying to do here in a very mindful way is look at agriculture and food systems in that approach, where everything's interconnected and not forget the people component. And so I think that's the reason that they have myself included as a social scientist to make sure that the communities and the systems, the social systems that are already in place up there are connected to the research we're doing at the station.
Do you feel like you want to say anything about the co-op or any other groups up there that you're partnering with?
Yeah, I mean,
help if that gets brought into the video some way.
Yeah, so I think to kind of build on what I was talking about is that there's some excellent efforts up there already. For example, the Marquette Food Co-op has been doing a wonderful job of really building local food systems in the UP. They've had a strong non-formal educational base already. So I think we don't want to go in there and replicate what they're doing. We want to go in there and connect to what they're doing. And I think there's a potential for a great partnership up there, not only with them, but efforts that Michigan State Extension's already doing up there. They're already developing food hubs up there. And so anything we can do to connect to existing efforts, I think that's important. And that's one of the things we're focusing on right now is to build a strong advisory committee up there that includes the different stakeholders in the UP to make sure that we have efforts that are build upon each other rather than compete against each other. Too many times we go into a community and we have the best way when actually maybe we don't.
Anything else?
Yeah, I think.
You want to sing while I got you mic'd up?
No, I'm good.
You good?
You don't want to hear.